Good morning, everyone. I am Kalila Baldwin, and on behalf of the entire DigiConnect team, I would like to welcome you all to how to use AI-powered video analytics to maximize your CCTV environment, a boardroom hosted by Agent VI. We are honored to have so many thought leaders in attendance today, and we encourage everyone to please actively participate and ask questions throughout, as this will be an interactive discussion. Before we begin, we have some housekeeping. We have placed everyone on mute in order to limit background noise. We'll be taking questions and comments after each session, which is when you may ask a question using the raise your hand feature found by clicking on the participants tab at the bottom of your screen. You will then be unmuted to ask your question. Alternatively, please use the chat box to interact with our speaker as well as the other event attendees. We will now officially begin with our keynote by Ms. Susie Weiss. She is the Regional Sales Manager for Europe, Middle East, and Africa for Agent VI. Born and raised in the UK, Susie has over 18 years experience in sales. Susie has been with Agent VI's Regional Sales Manager for over 9 years. Susie, without further ado, I will officially hand over to you so we can begin.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. Can everyone see?
Yes, we can.
You can see. Okay, great. So first of all, Ramadan Kareem to everyone. And I hope you're safe and well. Thank you very much for joining. And thank you for the introduction. It's an honor to be here today and an exciting time for collaboration. As mentioned, I'm going to be talking today about how to use AI-powered video analytics to maximize your CCTV environment. And my name is Susie Weiss, and yes, the Regional Sales Manager for EMEA at Agent VI. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with us, Agent VI has been making cameras smart since 2003. So we have of deployments worldwide, including in the Middle East, across all different sectors. We are currently in our 4th product evolution, where we were one of the earliest adopters of AI video analytics technology in the market and launched Anomaly, our AI video analytics platform, back in 2017. We also have an open architecture solution where we already have integration with leading video management systems, but of course can seamlessly integrate with any new or existing CCTV environment. Essentially, Anomaly is there to provide a one-stop shop for all of your intelligent needs. I'm going to take a minute just looking at some of the challenges that we're seeing today amongst CCTV operators, and also some of the common problems that they're facing from their existing video analytics solutions. Now, with the growth of big data, we've seen more problems arise, and the data becomes overwhelming and meaningless when it's not managed properly. As well as that, the need for a truly scalable platform that can grow with your CCTV environment has become more crucial than ever. And also more effective central management, because whereas a few years ago, sites were mainly sort of smaller in size and standalone, that's no longer the case. And the number of cameras and sites for different environments have grown exponentially. So there needs to be a much more effective way to manage all of that without taking so much time and money to do so. And of course, then the need for seamless integration with other system components. So that could be the cameras, it could be the VMS, or any other user interface that the user has. And of course, from our experience, we see that shifts and change in every single environment. So it's no longer possible to just work with sort of one type of solution or another. Now, some of the common problems that we see, either sort of one or all of these problems are really faced by a lot of the operators that we're in contact with. One of those is the setup and maintenance complexities. Now, we find that this can take so much time and resources from the customer that it becomes unmanageable when it's not done properly. Also, high false alarm rates. When we launched Anomaly, initially, we launched it for the central monitoring market to start with, because we saw that they were spending so much time and money just focusing on the false alarms that were coming in, that they ended up turning off the analytic solution that they were using in a lot of cases because it just wasn't working for them. And when you consider a installation, let's say it could be a city environment or a critical transportation, retail, education that has so many cameras connected, it could be hundreds or thousands of cameras, where even a few false alarms from those cameras every day will become unmanageable when you're connecting so many cameras to a system. Also, limited feature sets. I think when we look at the trend of the growth of threats to different environments, the challenges of different environments and needs, we see today that there is a need for a much more sophisticated, flexible, and versatile solution that can really meet the different requirements that they have for their intelligence. And of course, the cost of hardware is definitely a burden, often, especially when you look at a lot of AI platforms in the market today. Now, to take a look at Anomaly, when we consider the age of digital transformation, turning big data into smart data is key. So Anomaly is really built using custom AI algorithms, where we're creating meaningful data without burdening the operator with unuseful alerts. So organizations can become more intelligent operations, which are much better for real-time and predictive management. Now, you can see even in the videos in this slide, where even in extremely harsh weather conditions, or when there's a lot of noise on the field of view, in this case, there's insects, it could be sandstorms, or it really varies depending on the environment, that Anomaly is able to provide accurate detection and drown out the noise. And I think that's really key when looking at what sets aside our custom algorithms. Now, just to understand how that works in a bit more detail, let's look at the 4 pillars of Anomaly's architecture. So the first is the ease of installation and maintenance. What we've done with Anomaly is taken out all the hard work and put it on us. So the operator does not have to spend the time that they used to in the setup, in the calibration, and also on the maintenance. So we've created a platform that's pretty much plug in and play and always up to date. The second thing is the second pillar is the operational deployment, where Anomaly is optimized for virtual cloud environments. Of course, it can be deployed in the cloud or on premise, where we can seamlessly integrate with any environment because we're camera and VMS agnostic. And in terms of cost, we offer the lowest cost hardware per camera ratio for AI solutions by not using costly GPUs and only Intel processors. In terms of accuracy, we have built extremely accurate deep learning classification models. Now, when we launched Anomaly, we were lucky to have so many images of real life CCTV environments to really be able to train the system with millions of images to what a bus looks like, or a person looks like, or a bicycle, or a bike, and so on. So the system was able to already understand what it was looking at and has continued to grow. And that's really the point, that Anomaly is not a static system. It's a deeply learning platform that grows and adapts as your intelligent needs grow and can tailor features and capabilities with ease according to your particular requirements. If we take a look at some of the features, I'll just bring them all up so they're in front of you. Some of the features that we're offering today to really be able to meet the needs of different types of situations. The first is our real-time detection. Here we're looking at real-time rules that are predefined based on people, objects of interest, and vehicles. The second type of feature that we offer is our anomaly detection. Here, where it's not always realistic to know what you're looking for in advance, we add another layer to the capabilities in order to be able to detect unusual events. The third type of feature that we offer is our video investigation or smart search, where we can search on all or any of the cameras connected to the platform simultaneously to provide very, very robust and easy search based on objects and events of interest. And then the fourth feature is our intelligence, where we're really breaking down the same information into statistical outputs relating to, let's say, people movement or traffic movement and monitoring. Now, what's key is that we are continuously generating metadata in real time. And that's the gold mine. When you have accurate and sophisticated and intelligent metadata that works, you can then easily manipulate that into many different outputs. So here are some of the outputs that we offer. And the ability to be able to utilize all of these or any of these capabilities at once is really what gives us the ability to work across your entire camera network. So Anomaly is really there to help make the most of any CCTV environment and offer a complete overview and bring meaning to what's going on, as opposed to, you know, once upon a time where you just have many cameras that are sitting there redundant. Because ultimately today the cameras are there as data collection tools. And if there's no meaningful output and no meaningful data creation, then they become redundant to the customer. So that's essentially what we're doing to work with customers, understand their needs, show them how we can utilize the different capabilities that we have across their whole network to bring meaning and value. Just to look at these features in a little bit more detail. So as we mentioned, we have the real-time festival, where these are predefined events that could be occupancy, events to do with people, crossing a line, to do with many different targets, or moving in an area, vehicle events, grouping, and as you can see, many different types of events with many different targets that could relate to many different environments. The Anomaly works by having an initial training period where it will start training on what is usual in a field of view. And after a 2-week initial training period, it will then start alerting on what's unusual. And obviously what that adds is to those areas where the operator just is unable to predict, or it's just impossible really to predict. Let's say, you know, a car crash that immediately happens, or a fight that breaks out, or a parade that might, you know, break out into the street, that wouldn't be really events that you can predefine. It adds that extra layer of detection to be able to alert the operator of something that may be of interest to them at that time to look at. The next, as we mentioned, is the event investigation. And again, here what we're doing is searching only on the metadata that is continuously generated, not on the raw video. So that allows the operator to retrieve meaningful results on different objects or events of interest from hours and hours of video footage across all the camera all of the cameras that they have connected to the system within seconds to be able to search and do further investigation. There are very easy steps to the search. All you have to do is define your query, define what you're looking for, and then you essentially retrieve the results, and you can pass those results on or add them to a case for ongoing investigation. The next is, as we mentioned, a deeper dive into the big data, where we're taking all of these accurate statistical outputs related to people movement in an area and vehicle movement trends to help, let's say, better operations, understand the flow of people and traffic in certain environments, so, you know, to manage staff better, or just make more accurate decisions on how we plan for the future. And again, this is just an added layer that we're able to utilize from the same cameras that we're doing all the other analysis from. To look at how these different features relate to some of the key sectors that we work with a lot. Let's take Innovi for smart or safe cities to start with. Now, security enforcement is often very key across the city. So here they might be looking for things like unattended objects, as you can see an example in one of the videos. Also perimeter protection, you know, normally when pretty much any customer that's starting out, whether it's a city environment or it could be a transport hub or critical sites, you know, the first thing is to protect those sensitive sites. So that's usually where they will start. But obviously there's so much more that they can do beyond that today. So we could be looking at the operational flow of the city, things like unusual crowd detection, or even something like overflowing rubbish, where we're moving really beyond security, beyond the standard realms of what analytics would have been used for traditionally, to really leverage cameras to become really smart tools for particular needs that the city may have that really runs beyond the normal scope. We're looking at things like safety of citizens. So obviously vandalism can come up, as you can see an example here. Social distancing has been, you know, pretty in demand over the last year for obvious reasons. But safety of citizens is an ongoing need and a growing need for a lot of cities. And a lot of the cities that we work with have a very, very strong plan and remit to better the safety and understand what's going on to protect their citizens better today. And then, of course, there's even, let's say, traffic management, where it could be a lot of the cameras that are placed around the roadways that the city's monitoring and need better management and understanding. Of course, effective investigation for cities is always key, because it often may be unrealistic to have real-time monitoring on all of the city or district cameras at the beginning. The next sector that we would say is quite a key sector for us is transportation, where, of course, we work across the board. So we're looking at, you know, airport environments, roadway, rail, and seaports, where, you know, they are often looking for the types of, you know, features and assistance to do with site management after hours, detecting security or safety threats in and out or around the airports and rail tracks, for example. It could be left objects, or in this case, you see an example of running in the airport. It could be movement in restricted areas. You can see here sort of a person that's moving into a tunnel environment. So of course, the operator needs to be alerted immediately to this. Or it could be even illegal parking or traffic management on the highway. There are many, many uses for analytics in transportation hubs today. So, and we see definitely a growing need to be able to manage that better, again, because of the growing number of cameras and the inability to be able to manage the data that's coming in from those cameras effectively, or really be able to notice the events that are coming in just through an operator's manual eye. I think what's key to mention is that, you know, we're not there to replace the operators. We are there to make their life easier and better, and to make everything run more smoothly and efficiently. Now, the third type of, or the third sort of key sector that we tend to work with are, critical infrastructure sites. Now, critical sites can be especially challenging to manage due to wide distribution of sites and a mix of natural and man-made threats to security and safety. The need to ensure that there is 24/7 effective surveillance is crucial due to the disaster, which could be financial or otherwise, if there was a failure to the system at any point. And that's why intelligent analytics is key for daily management and also predicting potential threats. Now, we've looked at some of the key sectors, and of course, we work with pretty much across the board when it comes to different sectors. But I think, we do see sort of a trend in needs and requirements coming out of the key sectors that I've discussed today. If we take a minute now to look at what it looks like in practice. So we've talked about, how Anomaly is built, the different features, how that relates to certain sectors as an overview. Anomaly is built with a distributed architecture. So that means we have two components. The first component is the Anomaly Edge, which is the analytics layer of the software. The edge is where we are doing the initial metadata generation, and also the deep learning inferencing, where we're pulling the video from any camera, from RTSP or on the stream from a standard camera. And then once that metadata has been generated, we then send only the metadata to the Anomaly core. Now, the Anomaly core can be either Agent VI hosted in the cloud or customer hosted in the data center. Obviously, I won't go in too much to the architecture. If any of you sort of have, further questions afterwards about how that works and maybe the benefits in deploying it one way over the other, then I'd be happy to go into that. But the key, I think, especially those who are considering utilizing their surveillance in the cloud moving forward, what's key is we're only ever sending metadata when we do run our solution in the cloud. But of course, if that's not an option for you, we can run our solution fully on premise. And of course, we do that with many customers still today. The key when you look at the way that we are built is to understand that everything is centrally managed through one standard web browser, with the ability to manage and have visibility into all the cameras that you're using at all or any time. Just some examples of customers that we work with across EMEA. Of course, there are many, many more that we can't even mention their name because of data protection and customer confidentiality. But really just to give you a glance and show that we work with all different types of companies and all different types of sectors and environments. Now, just to mention briefly a case study of a smart city deployment that we've worked with now for a number of years in the UAE. We're talking about a situation where there are over 20,000 cameras that are deployed across the city. And in this case, the key benefits in utilizing analytics was to look to make the city safer. That was really the first and foremost priority. Then improving the use of government resources, so really better operations. Improving safety in a cost-efficient way, and I think that's always key. That ultimately the analytics, adding intelligence to your cameras is going to save you money in the long term by taking out the need for all the extra maintenance and effort that you put into the work you're doing manually by taking off your hands and automating it. Currently, there is approximately 2,000 video analytic channels running Agent VI software across the city, which is utilized in a number of ways. The first is for crime detection and prevention. The second is for highway safety. So here we're looking at things like detecting high-speed vehicles. or detecting stopped vehicles on the highway where they're parked illegally or stopped illegally. Apologies. The next is looking at anomaly behavior, where we might be looking at traffic obstacles or detecting cars that are moving in opposite directions. So that, of course, can be a significant safety hazard. Then there's, of course, the operational efficiency. So as we talked about with the intelligence, the business intelligence, understanding traffic patterns of vehicles and people to improve that operation. And then, of course, protection of critical sites. I think that goes without saying that always has to come in to the setup, especially when you're looking across a city, that we're protecting our sensitive sites from, ingoing and outgoing threats. For now, I'd like to stop for a moment. We'll move to the actual demo of the platforms. You can get a good look and feel for really everything that I've discussed. But I would like to take a moment now to maybe stop and see if anyone has any particular questions, or if anything that I said wasn't so clear. I'm really happy to, take a few minutes to look at those things now.
Susie, thank you so much. We do have a couple of questions that have come in, and everyone, I would like to remind you that if you do have any questions or comments for Susie at this time, please don't hesitate to raise your hand or drop the question in the chat box, please. So our first question is from Mr. Abdul Qadir. It's greetings, first of all.
Greetings.
What is the minimum camera resolution required for this SW?
That's a very good question. I'm going to move that question actually to Ariel is on the line from our pre-sales. If you can unmute Ariel to answer the question.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, actually, we have two Ariel in our team, and you unmuted me, Ariel Fisher, who is the VP Sales, not the pre-sale, but I can still answer that question. That's okay.
It's fine. So either Ariel's.
Yes. So basically, analytics Innovi can work in different resolutions, starting from even SIF or 4SIF resolution, although the recommended minimum resolution for accurate detection is HD resolution or 720 pixel, up to full HD 1080 pixels. System works also with the 4K and beyond. Just a question of the impact on the hardware that is required. So the optimal is 720 to 1080 pixels resolution.
I hope that answers.
Yeah, Abdul Qadir, if you can let us know, we can come back to the question. It's okay.
Yes. Thank you very much. It is clear. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll move on to our next question, which is from Mr. Santanu. Do you have the mechanisms to increase resolution of camera when abnormality detected as quality of video sometimes pose challenge to identify and investigate?
To increase it.
Yes, so I would say that the answer for that is actually not related to the analytics part. It is related more to the camera and to the video management system. Innovi works with the relevant resolution that it gets from the camera process and then generate an event as a standard event or an abnormal event. The operator is monitoring the cameras, not through Innovi, is monitoring the camera through his VMS platform. And then on the VMS platform, we can switch to a full resolution across the entire screen. It is a feature of the video management. Innovi simply generates the alarms and then it is prompted to the monitoring application for better management of the video.
Thank you, Ariel. Santanu, can you let us know if that was
Yes,
okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for your answer.
Wonderful. Okay.
Fantastic. Are we okay for the questions for now?
Yes.
Obviously, I'd like to leave time for questions at the end as well. Throw all of them at me, and any ones that are, any ones that I don't want to answer, I'll pass to Ariel, so that's also fine. So what I'd like to do is I'm just going to move over to the Anomaly portal so you can get a look and feel. 1 second. Here we go. There we go. 1 second. I'm just going to share. Okay, can everyone see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, fantastic. First and foremost, I'd like to say that even before I show this to you, that what I'm going to show you is a demo platform that is utilizing live webcams, because of course we can't show you real customer deployments. But we really encourage anyone after this to really contact us if they're interested in seeing how this works on their own cameras. And obviously that's a lot of the work that we're doing with the customers, not only helping them understand how they can specifically utilize analytics in a way that's really going to add meaning to their system, but also work with them to show them how that's going to look and work in their own setting and what type of features are going to most benefit the different cameras that they have set up, and really then scale that. But as you can see in front of you, what I've done is essentially just log into a standard web browser. Just need to minimize that. Okay, I've logged into a standard web browser, very simply. What you're looking at is a multi-tenant system. It's very easy to switch between accounts. You can obviously have certain accounts where they have access to particular information and sites, and other users that have sort of more limited information. So it's very, very easy to manage different users of the system and switch between different accounts. As you can see just from the top corner, you have the ability here. You can change language, accounts, the map view, and other functions. Immediately when you come in, you've got an overview of the entire dashboard of all the cameras and sites that are connected to the platform. So you can see all the different cameras that are connected on the map. So of course we have geospatial integration. You can all see at a glance the sort of a number of events that have come in a certain time period. So here you see the last day, but obviously you can filter from the last hour, 6 hours, 12 hours, and so on. And you can get an immediate idea of the health and camera status of the whole system. You can also see all the different sites and then cameras that are connected at the drop-down list at the side. And that's, again, really key for management, that it's that easy to just take a site and then add cameras to those sites and turn them on or off if you need to, in order to manage them effectively. Now, for the purposes of this demo, and our demo portal, we've really selected webcams that are, again, live, so we don't really know what's happening at any time, so it'll be interesting to see what comes up. But we've selected ones that can give you an idea of different applications across some of the key sectors that we discussed. So first of all, we're looking at city environments where we might be looking at applications like, stop vehicle, moving in an area, grouping rules, anomaly rules, and so on. As you can see here, what we've essentially done is move directly into the camera dashboard. So before I was showing you the systems dashboard. Now we've gone directly into the camera dashboard. So we can see exactly what's running, the health status of the camera, number of events. And again, you can filter that by whichever time frame that you want. We can also easily set up rules in those cameras. So we can add a rule according to, I guess, the needs of that environment. So here we might be looking for, moving in an area events. So there might be sensitive areas that we don't want people moving into in area. We can just set up the rule type. We can choose the object of detection, which is either people. We can add any vehicle, or we can be very specific and say, I'm only interested in cars that are moving in a particular area, because we could be looking at, for example, a bus lane where cars are not, allowed to move into those. So I'm only looking for cars in this case. And you also have the option to even break down your detection to bicycles and motorcycles. That's again, because the deep learning classification that we do is so accurate that we really can distinguish between all of these different objects with ease. As you can see, there's no calibration required. So it's auto-calibrated. And I think for anyone who's used sort of, analytics previously, I'm sure they'll be very, very happy to see this, because anyone that's really used analytics, especially pixel-based analytics, understands how much time that can take when it comes to calibration, setup, and maintenance. And often there's, a lot of training that's required to be able to use the analytics. Here you can see, without any training, and I'm not a technical person, the only thing I need to do here is to be able to select an area of interest. So my drawing skills are not fantastic, but let's say we select an area that we're interested in detection. We can set the dwelling time to whatever we want, the severity, so we get alerted if this is really a priority event. And obviously we can always schedule events according to the times that are interest. And then very, very simply, you save the event, and you can see that event runs simultaneously with the other events or the other rules that are set up on this camera's field of view. And again, you can set up as many rules as you want. You can have Anomaly running in the background, really learning what's usual in the scene and alerting you to unusual events that is also happening in real time. What we can do is actually also go to the monitors. So here, if we go back to the entire system overview, you can go to the monitor to see different events that are coming in. Again, you can filter this very easily over the last day, hour, 6 hours, and other timeframes. You can also easily filter these events by object type, severity, different rule types. So I just want to get a glance of all the different moving in an area rules or grouping events that have come in across the whole platform. And what you can also do is go into each event and play back the actual video to see if this event is a true or a false event. And of course, then you can close it as false or close it as true. We can also see the same events on the map. So here I can take, this particular event, and I can, sorry, I've got the Zoom is bothering my screen. I can take the particular event and I can focus that event on the map. So I can actually look at where those events are happening in real time for much easier analysis and a much clearer perspective of where they're happening. So I guess anyone, any of you that let's say might work in sort of those real life environments or in the police force where they need to act immediately to really understand where those events are happening in real time, the tool of having the map integration is really key. Now we've looked at the monitor, so we've looked at real-time events and how you can access those events. Of course, you have the option, to see these events as a list or in a chart. So there's different tools to really be able to access the real-time information in a way that's very intuitive, that's easily digestible, and that really pinpoints the specific information that you're looking for to be able to act on immediately. The next thing is really then the investigation, because here, when we're going into investigation, what we want to do is add, again, another layer to the system. So again, this is just another tab in the platform where we want to understand and look into particular events or objects of interest over all or any of the cameras connected. So let's say if we do a quick example of that, we're not going to search the whole system, but let's say we search on, if we take 3 of the city cameras, for example, that are placed quite close together. We can obviously search, by the way, as a drop-down list, or we can search for these cameras, across the map itself. For now, if we look at them on the list, we can break down our search criteria in different ways. So very simply, we can choose the rule type that we're looking for. Are we looking for someone that was crossing a line, moving in an area, stopped vehicle events, occupancy, grouping, object events? We can look at the dwell time of the person if we know that someone was loitering suspiciously for a particular time. You have an easy search that's set up on really everything. So, people, any vehicles, and two-wheeled objects. And then the time frame of interest. So it could be that, first of all, you're just looking to have a general search of what's been going on. So here we might say, I'm looking at really everything that's happened, and I'm looking over the last 12 hours. Of course, you can be specific in the time range as you deep dive into your search and have more information on the particular object of interest. But for now, let's do a simple investigation on 3 cameras on all the different objects, where you can see how quickly we have now generated these events. So if you see at the bottom, we've had 1,313 events that have come in on 36 hours of video footage, because obviously we've done this over 3 different cameras over the last 12 hours. And that, again, is because we are not searching on the raw video, just the metadata that's already been generated in real time and is always and continuously ready to be searched on. Now, I might say, okay, I've got a nice overview, but let's say we've received more specific information. Here we're looking at in and around convention centers, and we might have received more information on an event that happens that we want to do a deeper dive into. So in this case, we might have heard there was, a person, and here we can break down very specifically in color, that there was someone suspicious that was walking around at a particular time frame that was wearing red. And as well as that, you heard of suspicious activity with, someone that was either on a bicycle or a bike. We know that they were in a 2-wheeled vehicle. So we're going to add those 2 objects of detection to our results. And again, keep it to 12 hours for now, because we're only really doing a simulation in the portal. This is not a real customer environment. And then we move to the investigation. Now, you can already see how we've narrowed down the results to 498 results, where we can very simply zone in to certain results to see if they're of interest. So I might see that there was, a person on a scooter that looks suspicious. I can easily click in to that particular event that happened, open up the video of that event to see the actual video stream and get a sense of what that person was doing and what was happening around them. I might see that this person has come up maybe over a few at different time frames or a few fields of view. So I might start then building a case, for example, and adding this either to an ongoing investigation or starting a new investigation with yourself or your colleagues, where we say, okay, this person seems to have appeared in a few, in a few instances. Let's start looking at what was happening. So I can easily build a new case and call it a person in red. I can either select an existing case to add this to or create a new case, and the case name in this case would be person moving, case description, scooter, and folder name red. Again, this is just for simulation. Of course, this information can be made public to all the users in the portal, or private if this is a very sensitive case that only 1 or 2 users are allowed to access. And then of course you can save that. You can go back to the case to manage that, go back to the case to add new events to, or of course export these events and show them to colleagues or to the police for further information. Now these same events that we're seeing, we can also go to take a look at on the map itself. So in the same way we were looking at these events in real time, we can zone in to where these events are happening and really take a better look at what was going on. So we can see very clearly the events where they're happening really around and outside the convention center. And we can start taking a look at where those events were happening on the road itself. So we could easily move around. We can see, okay, this looks interesting, what was going on, and quite quickly find the same event that we were looking for to see where that was occurring in real life. Again, we can click into the video, we can look back and just verify that this was the event of interest. And then again, we can add this easily to the case or manage this as part of our investigation. Now we've looked at the real-time and investigation. The last thing I would like to look at is the reports. So here again, you can see that you have an entire platform where just by clicking on different tabs, you're able to retrieve different information according to your needs. So here we're looking at reports that are relevant to people movement. Let's say it could be a retail environment where you're looking at movement in and out of stores to get an understanding of, people traffic. Or of course, it could also be vehicle patterns. So looking at traffic movement on the highways for better monitoring and understanding. For now, we're really exporting this information into an Excel sheet, which can then be integrated very simply through our open API to any BI tool that you're using. We do plan later this year to have our own integrated dashboard as well as part of the platform. And it's also key to note that as Anomaly is versatile, and as there is such ease in integrating other platforms and integrating new features into the system, we are always going to be adding new features and capabilities to the platform. So I've showed you some of the existing features that we have today. Of course, we would love to hear from you if there are specific requirements or challenges that you have, or you're interested in really bettering your operation or safety of citizens, or managing your CCTV environment better, or just making your operators' life a lot easier than they have it today. We're very, very happy to hear, because what I've showed you today is really just a general overview. These are not, I haven't showed you, I haven't done a deep dive into specific customer cases. So I'd be very happy to share those with either of you and really discuss our experience of working in similar environments, on what have helped other people like you to make the most of their CCTV environment and really utilize their intelligent needs. For now, I know I've done a lot of talking. And I think, before we go back to any sort of further questions that we have, my message is, please contact us. You can contact us. You can go to our website where we have lots of information available. You can apply to an Anomaly trial through our website. You can contact us at sales@agentvi for any information that you have. We have, of course, pre-sale support to able to help, that can sit and help you when it comes to technical design and considerations. We have commercial support ready, marketing materials that are really available and ready that talk about how we relate to different environments. We have a YouTube channel where we have a mix of videos that really go into our solution, and even have customers that have used our solution before talking about their experience. And, the main thing is really supporting you to get to experience it for yourself, not just obviously take my word for it. We really want to help you experience the analytics, to trial it, to see how you could potentially utilize it in your own environment. So again, thank you very, very much for your time today. I hope that was informative and gave you at least an overview of some of the things we're doing today. And I'd love to hear, I'd love to hear some questions from you. I hear myself speak all the time, so it would be great to hear someone else.
Susie, thank you. We do have quite a few questions that have come in, so we can just get started. So Nitin asked, does your solution work in other verticals? To kick us off.
Yes, great question. As I mentioned, we tend to, I would say we tend to have key verticals that we tend to focus on just because they come up so much, whether they're sort of, government tenders or private projects, across sort of cities, transports, or, transportation or critical infrastructure. But of course, we have history across all sectors. So whether that's education or retail, logistic environments, manufacturing, you can see by the different features there, they can be easily tailored to fit certain environments. And we definitely have a lot of experience also in other sectors that we could, show you and discuss with you as well.
Thank you. And Nitin, I hope that answered your question. Oro asked, could you explain the benefits of having the solution on cloud versus on premise?
Right, so I think that's an excellent question, and it's it definitely comes up a lot today, and we're seeing there's a lot more discussion around cloud and cybersecurity, data protection, and everything that comes into that. I think some of the key benefits that we see is when you're running the core component in the cloud. Again, we only have the metadata that's leaving the site. So the initial processing is done on the site. Then the metadata is sent to the core, which is, if it's an Agent VI hosted, is sitting in the cloud. The benefit is really where you're moving to a service rather than an on-premise deployment. So you have the benefit of sort of yearly fees in line with other contracts that you have. You have the benefit that all the maintenance and updates are happening continuously behind the scenes. So there's no need for any maintenance or software upgrades. And essentially it's taking the work off of the customer's hands. So we are definitely seeing a trend in many different regions towards this way of working, because essentially they're just finding it much easier to run this way, especially when you want the ease of adding cameras continuously to a platform and growing and scaling the system without having to get involved in that maintenance. The other benefit is obviously on the hardware that when you have the core instance running in the data center, there's the extra hardware component that's required. When that's running in the cloud, you're considering that the only hardware that you need is a mini IoT device that might be sitting at the different sites that we offer that comes preloaded with our software. So it really is a plug-in and play solution without the maintenance. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Susie. Mr. Mohammed asks, can a person be recognized by their human type or race?
That's a good question. Currently, we haven't integrated facial recognition into the system, but we will be integrating this later this year. So the specifics of that we haven't published yet because it hasn't yet been released. but we will be having a breakdown of things like gender, for example. If there are more specific requirements for a particular environment, then I'm happy to hear what those requirements are and see if that's something that we could also integrate into the solution that's tailored for your particular needs.
Let me add to what Susie just mentioned. We are trying to target Innovi to work on existing or new camera installations where the majority of them are not suitable, are not positioned, the quality is not enough for special applications like face recognition or a vehicle license plate recognition. We're trying to provide a system that can answer the majority of cameras that are installed. And the idea is to enable a combination of multiple features or attributes of an object. Sometimes you see a person only from his back, or you can see only how he looks without a clear view of his face because the camera is not positioned properly. And sometimes you do have cameras that sees the person's face. So by integrating a face recognition engine into Innovi, we will be able to track an object, whether by his face, if his face is seen on the camera, or through recognizing the person by the color of his shirt, his position, whether he's near a position of another object in an adjacent camera, and so on and so forth. So the idea is to identify an object with as many attributes as possible, understanding that some attributes are seen on one camera, some others cannot be seen on that camera, but on a different one. And the whole idea is to try eventually to enable customers to be able to understand better who is walking, where is he walking, which direction, which cameras, which location, using all the information we can get.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. I know you had a couple of questions.
Okay, I have just a comment regarding this reply, because sometimes we need to track someone, a specific person. So can we do through Innova or not?
The answer is, at the moment, this feature of a specific person that is tracked or using, let's say, a unique identifier, which is a face, at the moment, it's not released yet. It will be released in the coming months. Once we have it, yes, you will be able to, let's say, to tag a person and say, I want to track that person over my entire environment, and the system will give you a notification whenever is approaching an area which is covered by relevant cameras.
I think also what's key is any deployment that we would start working with anyone on now, I'm sure that by the time we actually come to the deployment itself, to actually installing the analytics, there will be these sorts of features available as well.
So thank you, Mr. Mohammed, for your question.
Thank you.
Ariel,
Thank you.
Yes. So we have two more questions. Mr. Abdul Qadir asks, will the SW learn from the environment, or its design is limited to the use cases it was trained on?
Excellent question. So the answer is yes. It is a dynamic system. So obviously when we initially trained Innovi, as I said, we had so many years of images from, and so millions of images from all the different, CCTV environments that we've worked on. So that really gave us a fantastic start to the system, because ultimately the quality of AI is the data that you're feeding it. So we were able to feed quality data for the deep learning classification models. So, but obviously we built that using, standard models that we see in the environments, like I showed you in the presentation and demo. Of course, though, that is continuously learning. And I think that's the joy of having a deep learning classification, that it's not something that's static. So it is also continuously learning from a particular environment and field of view. It's not just a training that was done once to the system and that's it. It's just that it had a really good head start, and since 2017 has continued to grow and learn and continue to learn from real environments where it's deployed.
Thank you, Susie. So we have one final question,
okay,
which might be a good summary. So how are you different? Yes, how are you different from other video analytic companies?
Well, excellent question. Other than the fact that obviously, we're the best video analytics in the market, I would say what really sets us aside are first the fact that I think you have other solutions that are maybe more targeted for certain types of analytics, whether real time or search, or it could be they're focused on anomaly detection or other components. What Agent VI and Innovi, our AI platform, is offering is a total solution to the different security needs that you have that can be utilized on the existing cameras that you have, as Ariel said. So it's not like you need to go and purchase special cameras to use our solution. It can really work with any standard camera. The other thing, and again, if we're looking at more specifically AI solutions, I think really comes into the hardware cost per camera ratio. Because when you look at a lot of AI solutions in the market who are utilizing GPUs, so much money is being spent on the processing that's required for the analytics to run, which can often be a hidden cost at first, especially when you're just looking at the software licenses. So we've really worked to cut that out by only working with Intel CPU processors. And so we don't burden the customer. Even when they're scaling the system to hundreds and thousands of cameras, they're not going to be hit with extremely costly hardware to use it. So I guess to answer the question in a nutshell, it's a very versatile system with a rich feature set that doesn't cost you a lot to run. And so that's, I guess, in a nutshell.
Perfect. Thank you. And Rahul, I hope that answered your question. So with that, Susie, Ariel, thank you so much for providing a little bit of an overview. And like you mentioned, we will be sharing directly with all of our participants today your contact details. Wonderful. So they can ask any follow-up questions, comments, and conversations. So thank you again so much. Yes.
Thank you everyone for joining. It's exactly. Much appreciated. And again, Ramadan Kareem, I hope you all have an easy fast the rest of today. And again, it's really an honor to have this chance to speak to you all. I hope to be able to take this offline and really understand each of your environments and see how we could support you.
So thank you so much. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.